Welcome back. In this video, we are going to talk about iterations, the for loop. So one of control structure is loop, and loops are our final big topic in JavaScript fundamental sections. So loops are fundamentals aspect of every programming language. Basically, they allows us to automate repetitive tasks. So the tasks that we are going to perform over and over again. Here I like to use an analogy of gym. So when you go to gym, you might lift weights, right? And let's say you can do 10 repetitions of a certain weightlifting exercise. So let's write that. So here we'll declare as 1 and let's just copy and paste this multiple times. So in our case, we have said 10 times, right? So let's go ahead and write 10 times. So we'll change the values here. So this is the way we are going to declare. So for now, let's go ahead and see this output here. See, as you can see, weightlifting, this is how it is going to declare, but we don't want that. So we'll get the output by using the for loop. Okay. So this is not the best practice because here we have to declare 10 times the same line of code. Okay, for 10 times it is okay, for sometimes reasonable. But if you want to declare this in the 30 times, not the 10 times, it will be a difficult task to change in every string. So it also violates the don't repeat yourself. Basically, here we are repeating same code 10 times. We are changing just the number. So instead of doing all this, we can now create a loop and put one of the lines of code in there. And then the loop will return the code over and over again until we tell it to stop. And now let's implement a so-called loop. Let's do that. Now the loop statement has three parts. First part, it is the initial value of the part. It is the initial value of a counter, and in the case of the current example, the counter is the value of the starter here at the number 1 and goes to all the way to number 10, right? And we'll use for example for in this pattern. So let's call this as the counter repetition rep, which stands for repetition. So let's say rep, and we'll use here let rep equals to 1. Okay, here we'll declare this. And here literally we called a variable called a rep, and we start at 1 because that's our first repetition. Okay, here we need to use a let variable because this counter will be later uploaded by the loop, so that the first part of the statement, and then we use semicolon and go to the second part. The second part is a logical condition that is evolved before each iteration of the loop. So before each time the code so before each time that the code in the loop is executed, so our condition rep needs to be equal or below 10. So let's say that we'll write rep is equals to or below 10, right? So we'll close this with again semicolon here. So for loop keeps running while condition is true. With 10 times still it's true. So it will execute after the 11th time it is no longer less than or equals to 11. Then the loop will stop, and at this point we have these 10 strings basically. So speaking of increasing the counter, That is actually the third part of the statement. Now here we actually update the counter after each iteration. That's necessary because the counter just stays at 1 forever. So this condition here never would be false. And so we do here is now increase the counter by 1 after each iteration. So let's say here rep equals to rep plus 1. So this is how the iteration works, right? So if it is 1, right? So in the one case, it just goes and checks if this statement is true, and it goes and adds the rep. Instead of writing this way rep, we can declare this as plus plus operator, which is same as I've written before. So here in this case, we'll open brackets and here we'll write. So this will take the rep value and increase it by 1. Now let's write code. So here we'll write console.log. So this is how we are going to write our code, right? So initially you just forget about this number of reps. We'll come there in a bit. So let's see how this gets executed here. See, here the 10 indicates 10 it is showing, right? So let me just go ahead and turn this off for now so that you'll get a clarity. Now as we run it, we got our output here as a 10. So here the 10 stands for strings that was printed 10 times. So the DevTools will now print the same string 10 times. It will simply put 10 here, but what matters is the logic here actually. So our logic actually here worked, right? So initially we are starting with 10 rep, starting with 1 rep, and it goes all the ways to 10, right? So if the statement is greater, less than or equals to 10, so equals 10 is right. So here we got our last value 10. So later it got failed, so it just came out of the loop. So it just printed only 1 to 10. So here we got 10. Let's use this variable rep to increase the count. So in this case, we'll just go here and add this rep. Now when we run it, you will be able to see it. See, with one line of code, instead of writing this 10 lines, with this simple line, we just got all our code executed, the 10 lines. So try to understand this. So once again, let's recap this whole situation anyway. In order to solve this problem of not having to repeat the same code over and over again, we used here the for loop, and we created a rep here, a new variable, and we started at 1 because the rep starts with 1, right? Okay, in our case. So after that, each iteration of loop, then we increase the count value by exactly by 1. So here we use plus plus, right? It increase plus 1. So each reps get added 1 plus 1 2 2 plus 1 3 like that. Okay, so in the first iteration the string here is logged to console with the current repetition, which stands at 1. So here this will be replaced by 1, and then afterward the rep count will be uploaded to the 2 and repeat, and so on. The loops keeps running while the rep variable is less than or equals to 10. So basically, while this condition here is true, and that's how we get the 10 repetitions. So what this loop does is to verify before each repetition. That's how the for loop works in JavaScript. Okay, so let me just say here, take an example. So our rep is not starting from 1. So if it starts from 5 initially, you can see it declares from only 5 to 10. So if it is 1, and let's say let's say previously we have assumed it is difficult to write 30 strings, right? So for example, if we declare here 30 reps, see, it shows all the way from 1 to 30 in just one line. Okay, let's put it back to 10. Try to analyze the code and get an idea about it. So that's it for this video, and let's talk more about loops and types of loops in the next video. Thank you.